Hello everybody, welcome back to my gaming review. Today I want to do just a quick look at the PlayStation TV. Now, the PlayStation TV was a massive fail for Sony. And there's a lot of reasons why this console failed. Number one, some Vita games don't even work on the system. Ones that you think would, like Call of Duty Declassified does not work on the PlayStation TV, but there's just a huge library of games that did not work on the PlayStation TV. It was also the other reason why this console failed was because of the marketing. Sony showed it off as just this little box that plays TV, and you can connect it with a PS4. So marketing, of course, not being able to play all Vita games. Those are two big things that made this a fail. The other things that made people not like the system is, well, the little Sony memory cards that it came with. The memory cards are very expensive. Now, this is an issue for the PlayStation Vita and the PS TV because they all technically the same system, except this doesn't play all Vita games. But the other thing that made it a fail was the little proprietary Sony memory cards that came out for the Vita and the PlayStation TV. But anyway, here was the box for the PlayStation TV. Here is my system. I'll just show it off for everyone. I do wish that the PlayStation TV was more successful. I do wish that you can play all the Vita games, but you can't. But here is the PlayStation TV. So with most of the games that work on the PlayStation TV system, a lot of them you have to actually update just so you can actually play a game. So I'll give an example. I have Need for Speed Most Wanted for my PlayStation TV. I had to actually update the game, then play the game, because originally most games didn't even work for the system until Sony had a bunch of update patches that came out to make a lot more games work. Now, the PlayStation TV does have a good collection of games that do work in the system. You can play PS Classic games, you can play PSP games on the system, and there's a good chunk of PlayStation Vita games that will work in the system, even without an update. You can just plug them into the little cartridge thing right there, and they should work just fine. PlayStation TV also is a very small console. It's a lot more, it's way smaller than the PS Classic system and other mini consoles. As you can see on the bottom here, it's usually black on bottom, but I took mine apart. That's why it looks like that. I took mine apart and I accidentally damaged the plastic, so yeah. But my console's fine. It works perfectly fine. I have just two stickers though, game over. But on my PlayStation TV, I have some PSP games. I got some Vita games that work, like Killzone, and I have Need for Speed Most Wanted. Plus, I think I also have Minecraft for PlayStation TV. I also have, like, Cincinnati Bengals wallpaper for my PlayStation TV, so I can represent my football team while I play this. I don't use the PlayStation TV a whole lot, but when I do have a pretty fun time with it. Even though it's not the greatest system of all time, even though this console was a massive fail, you can actually do things to make it a better system. So there's a whole bunch of people out there that have jailbroken their PlayStation TV systems, that have like modified those systems to play all Vita games. But yeah, anyway, this is the PlayStation TV. I've had this for a long time, and I actually do love the form factor. It's a very small, nice console that you can just throw in your pocket and take with you everywhere. Yeah, it works with the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3 controllers as well, and there is a lot of good games for the system. Even though it doesn't play all Vita games, it does have a lot of amazing games on the console. Now, even though the PlayStation TV was a massive flop for Sony and obviously didn't do that good, I honestly think that the system itself, I think if the PlayStation Vita wasn't a system and they just came out with the PS TV first, like, imagine Sony releasing a little tiny PlayStation like this, but not a Vita. then maybe it would be successful. But because you have the PlayStation Vita and PlayStation Vita Slim, people would rather play the PlayStation Vita over the PlayStation TV. But I do think if this was like actually a separate console that didn't play Vita games, that didn't play Vita games, and had its own games, like what if Sony made exclusively PlayStation TV games for the system? Obviously, they wouldn't do that, and they just released the PlayStation 4, so obviously this wasn't really something that was a big deal for Sony, and they didn't really care too much about the Vita and the PlayStation TV after the PS4 launch, it seems like. But anyway, it was a missed opportunity. I do think that this console could have actually been successful. I do think that it would have made a lot more sales for Sony if they just marketed it well. If they actually showed off the games that it could actually work with. I think it would be better if they actually had a lot more commercials showing the PlayStation TV, what it can do. And, all in all, Sony made a massive mistake. I think the system itself, though, could have been something fantastic. I think a lot of people would have owned one of these if Sony was like, okay, this is not just a box for your TV, this is an actual console that plays games. I think if Sony made that clear from the beginning, then people would actually want to buy the system. Also, because it is a Vita, it would make sense if Sony actually made the PlayStation TV work with all Vita games, because the PlayStation 4 controller has the touchpad on the front of it. So technically, most PlayStation Vita games should work. But for some reason, a lot of them just don't. Even though the PlayStation 4 remote, like this one right here with my little sticker, you can actually use that as a touchpad. So, missed opportunity for Sony. And I do feel bad for this little console, because I do think it is a great little system to own. I think it is a great little PlayStation console to have. And I do love mine, even though I took mine apart and it looks kind of like crap on the bottom because of this right here. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice looking system. The American version is black, and then the Japanese PlayStation TV was actually all white. I do want to get a white PlayStation TV to go with my black PS TV to just add to my collection. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to end the video. This is just a quick review of the PlayStation TV in 2022, or 2023, because we're going to be going into the next year soon, in a couple months here. But anyway, this system wasn't the greatest, wasn't the best, but I do think that it has a lot of potential, and I do think it's a very big missed opportunity. And looking at the system now, and looking at the games I have for it, it is actually really fun and cool to own a PlayStation TV. So if you do want to check out a PlayStation TV, they are a little expensive nowadays. They were a lot cheaper, and then they kind of went up in price. But you should be able to find these on eBay or Amazon for, I think some of them are $200 brand new, and then some on eBay are like $100. It just depends on where you go to buy a PlayStation TV. But if you do want to experience a PS TV, go for it. Just buy one if you want to try out the system. If you think that you might like the system. The only thing I will say is that if you are buying a PlayStation TV, just know that not all of your Vita games will work. So you have to look up on Google what Vita games are actually fully compatible with the PlayStation TV system. But anyway, I'm going to end the video. Peace out. And this has been the PlayStation TV.